very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, where we get you the day's top stories. Let's start with the headlines. American National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi and holds talks with his counterpart Ajit Doval, reaffirms India's designation as a major defence partner. Patch up on the cards for warring factions of the AIADMK. Ruling Amma section announces team to hold talks with Paneerselvam camp. The UK acts on India's extradition request to Vijay Mallya. Businessman gets bail after he is arrested in London by Scotland Yard. British Prime Minister Theresa May announces snap polls, says the country needs a strong government to push ahead with Brexit talks with the European Union. And US President Donald Trump to sign executive order to recommend changes to his country's visa policies, order to target H-1B visa program. Let's start with the big story from Tamil Nadu, where the two warring factions of the AIADMK party held talks of a merger today. Leaders from both the sides held informal meetings to discuss the merger formula. The talks hit a roadblock, though, with the O. Paneerselvam camp demanding Sasikala and TTV Dinakaran's exit from the party. However, both the sides are not losing hope, as the unification seems to be their only chance to redeem the coveted two-leaf symbol.
A patch-up appeared to be on the cards for the warring factions of the AIADMK. The ruling AIADMK Amma faction announced it will form a team to hold talks with the Paneerselvam camp.
இது ஒரு புதிய அனுபவமாக இருக்கிறது. கப்பல்ல பயணம் செல்வது, அதுவும் குடும்பத்தோடு பயணம் செய்வது என்பது ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சியான தருணமாக இது அமைந்திருக்கிறது. எல்லோருடைய வாழ்க்கையிலும் இது ஒரு சந்திக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு வாய்ப்பு. இது எங்களுக்கு கிடைத்திருக்கிறது. அது வகையில உண்மையிலே எங்களுக்கு இந்த நேரத்தில் முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கும்
Party MLAs from both factions held informal meetings to arrive at a formula for a possible merger. The DMK MLAs met on board the INS Chennai for a day at sea, where they indicated an imminent merger between the two factions. Former Chief Minister O. Paneerselvam, however, said the faction led by him will hold talks only if Sasikala and his nephew TTV Dinakaran are ousted from the party. Paneerselvam's demand comes a day after Sasikala's nephew and AIADMK Amma's General Secretary was booked for bribing an election commission official to obtain the two-leaves symbol.
Sasikala and her family has to be kept away from the party. Directly or indirectly, they should not have any role within the party.
Family, the two names?
Yeah. No, not only two names, their entire family that. They should not be within the party. Two, yes, we originally demanded Amma's death has to be investigated.
The Sasikala faction has denied any rumours of Sasikala and Dinakaran stepping down. They are accusing Paneerselvam of changing his stance after talks for the merger started.
Yesterday, same press has told that Mr. OPS have got no demands to have talks. Just now, Mr. OPS is talking from the beginning. If we are going to have a talks, dialogue, any dialogue, there should be, if we are really for a dialogue, there should be something which is common to both of us. Why should they step down?
Former Chief Minister OPS only opened this. So based on that, we also together discussed, and we also made sessions that we are ready to talk with the former Chief Minister. So meanwhile, some opinion given by the former Chief Minister that being again placed among all of us.
Commenting on then moves, the DMK said its poll rival in the state was only exhibiting desperation.
This government has no support from the people. But now, since they are fighting, they are going to the extent of bribing the election commission to retain the symbol in the party name. They will go to any extent to remain in power.
The merger move started on Monday when Sasikala and OPS camp met to discuss the possibilities of coming together, mainly to redeem the party's two-leaf symbol that's been frozen by the Election Commission. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, Vijay Mallya was given bail by a metropolitan court after he was arrested in London. The businessman faces charges of defaulting on loans worth crores in India. The centre had asked the UK in February, in fact, to extradite Mallya to answer questions of money laundering and several warrants in the country. In March, the United Kingdom told India that its request had been certified by the Secretary of State. And last week, a Delhi court put out an open-ended, non-bailable warrant against the 61-year-old businessman for alleged violation of foreign exchange rules. Mallya left India a year ago amid attempts by a group of banks to recover around 9,000 crores in loans to his collapsed Kingfisher Airlines. The central government cancelled his passport and asked the UK government to deport him. But initially, British officials had said that even without an Indian passport, he could legally stay on in London as he had a UK visa. Mallya was seen at events in the UK linked to his Formula One team Sahara Force India, and in a series of tweets, he accused the government of holding him guilty without a trial.
कि भारत सरकार ने विजय माल्या को भारत लाने के लिए हर कानूनी कार्रवाई प्रामाणिकता से किया है। उनके पासपोर्ट को कैंसिल किया गया, उनको एब्सकॉन्डर डिक्लेयर किया गया, उनके खिलाफ एक्स्ट्राडिशन कार्रवाई शुरू हुई और भारत ने बहुत मजबूती से ये पक्ष रखा इंग्लैंड में कि वो 9,000 करोड़ लगभग जनता के पैसे का डिफॉल्ट हुआ है, उसमें कई चीटिंग का भी मामला बना है, इसको लेकर वो भारत से भागे हुए हैं।
इसकी प्रक्रिया होती है, उस प्रक्रिया के तहत ही हम कार्रवाई करेंगे। मेरा मानना है कि हम किसी भी ऐसा कदम नहीं उठाएंगे जो लगे कि हम कानून के विपरीत जा रहे हैं। हम और किसी भी व्यक्ति को छोड़ेंगे नहीं जो कानून की सीमा में है, जिसने देश के साथ अपराध किया है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार लोगों की आंख में धूल झोंकना बंद करे और देश को बताए कि विजय माल्या हमारे देश में वापस कब लेकर आएंगे और कब देशवासियों का 9,091 करोड़ रुपया वापस मिलेगा।
Nepal's President Bidya Devi Bhandari today urged Indian entrepreneurs and investors to invest in her country, saying that Nepal has a favorable environment for business. Speaking at a program in New Delhi, she added that the presence of Indian investors at the recent investment summit in Nepal shows the significance India attaches to Nepal. Earlier, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj discussed bilateral ties with the visiting Nepal president. Bhandari also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi to explore ways to step up cooperation between the two countries. Bhandari, who arrived yesterday on a 5-day visit and was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, is visiting outside her country for the first time after assuming office in 2015. US National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster met Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review bilateral ties and the situation in the South Asian region. McMaster reaffirmed India's designation as a major defense partner and emphasized the importance of its strategic relationship. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar were also present at the meeting. McMaster also held detailed discussions on Indo-US security relations with Doval. This is the first visit, in fact, by a top US official to India since Donald Trump took over as president in January. The US NSA arrived last evening from Pakistan, where he met Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and some top officials. Now, at a time when China, Russia and Pakistan are coming together to forge an alliance on Afghanistan, Canada has appreciated India's role in the war-ravaged country. It has shown willingness to join hands with India in development activities in Afghanistan and also wants overall defense ties with India from sale of equipment to manufacturing.
Canada's Defence Minister Harjit Singh Sajjan met Defence Minister Arun Jaitley on Tuesday to discuss defence relations between the two countries. The talks focused on security scenario in South Asia and other issues of mutual concern.
And given India's importance in the Indo-Asia-Pacific region, this trip is an important opportunity to build and strengthen our bilateral relations, especially as it relates to defense. And now I am exploring working together in areas of naval cooperation with the Indian military on cold climate warfare, joint exercises, counterterrorism, and sharing advances in defense research and innovation. I'm also interested in opportunities for Canada's defense industry to develop closer ties with India.
Sajjan has served in Afghanistan in joint missions against Taliban. Aware of India's activities in the war-ravaged country, Sajjan said India's work is worth emulating by other nations who want peace in Central Asia.
India has actually done some really good work in Afghanistan when it comes to development. For example, with rebuilding roads, the importance of an ice-making factory, is where the fruits are brought in, so they can keep it cold. And it sounds very minor, right? But here's the interesting part. There's a soldier here with me, a captain who has served with in Afghanistan, and I was saying we're doing this wrong. We're looking at this through a Western lens. It's not going to work.
Canada supplies uranium to India for peaceful purposes. With the trust quotient improving considerably these days, both sides see scope for defense cooperation, including joint manufacturing. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And from diplomatic relations to nationwide politics, and in a big blow to the Congress just a week ahead of the MCD polls in the national capital, party veteran and former Delhi Congress President Arvinder Singh Lovely today joined the BJP. Lovely lashed out at the leadership of his former party, saying that the party is finished under them. Referring to the allegations made by the state Congress veteran A.K. Walia that tickets for MCD elections were being sold by party leaders, Arvinder Singh Lovely said that nobody took note of his grievances. One of the key ministers in the Sheila Dikshit government, Singh held important portfolios such as education, tourism, urban development and transport. Along with Singh, Delhi Youth Congress President Amit Malik also joined the BJP after meeting party chief Amit Shah.
पॉलिटिकल अपॉर्चुनिज्म कह लीजिए, गद्दारी कह लीजिए, जो भी कह दीजिएगा आप, लेकिन इस तरह के लोग जिनको सब कुछ मिला हो वो भी चले जाएं, तो किस पर आप विश्वास कर सकते हैं, किस पर क्या कर सकते हैं? मुख्य कारण इन सब लोगों का छोड़ना, जो भी है जिन्होंने छोड़ा है, वो यही है कि उनसे ना कोई उनको पूछता है, ना उनकी कोई सुनवाई है, तो इसलिए आउट ऑफ फ्रस्ट्रेशन जिसे कहते हैं, वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन जो कॉज किया गया है.
Now, talking of the weather and bringing good cheer for the farming community, the India Met Department on Tuesday said that the southwest monsoon will be normal this year. The Weather Department predicted good distribution of rainfall across the country. The country will reportedly receive 96% of long period average. But waiting for the monsoons are going to be hard as parts of India continue to reel under intense heat wave as temperatures cross 40 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. Hot conditions prevailed in the national capital with the mercury touching 44 degrees Celsius in some parts of the city. The Met Department has warned of heat wave-like conditions in all districts of Telangana on Tuesday and Wednesday. Western Nagpur city in Maharashtra too saw a temperature of 43 degrees on Monday, forcing people to stay indoors. The city will continue to witness above normal temperatures for the next 2 to 3 days.
खेती के हिसाब से जैसा 2016 रहा है, अच्छा रहा है खेती के लिए, उसी तरह का सिचुएशन 2017 में भी बन के बरकरार रहने का पूरा संभावना है. पिछले साल भी 97% की बारिश हुई थी, इस बार भी 96% प्लस माइनस 5% के हिसाब से होने की आकलन अभी किया गया है. इसकी अपडेट दिया जाएगा जून फर्स्ट वीक में.
And speaking about stats and figures, the latest report by the government has estimated that India's skewed sex ratio will decline further in the coming years. Quoting data from the Census and World Bank, a report titled Youth by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation said that the sex ratio has been consistently decreasing since 1991. The reduction is found to be much more than that of the overall population. It has come down to 939 in 2011 from 961 in 1971. And is projected to decline further to 904 in 2021 and to 898 by 2031. The projection is based on very low sex ratio at birth in India. The number of girls born for 1,000 boys was 914 in 2011 and is projected to fall further in the coming decades. All right, with that, a quick break here. We'll be back with the international stories in a bit. Stay with us.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. Let's get you more news. And Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari on Tuesday interacted with Indian Foreign Service trainee officers in New Delhi. He congratulated the trainee officers of 2016 batch for having chosen a service that offers a challenging and exciting career. The Vice President also said that it was both a privilege and responsibility to represent one's country in foreign land. Meanwhile, a PIL was filed in the Delhi High Court seeking response from the centre on exploring remedies through the International Court of Justice for the release of Kulbhushan Jadhav. The petition sought direction to the MEA and the MHA to approach the International Court for providing consular access to Jadhav in Pakistan. The petitioner further added that the Pakistani military has failed to provide fair trial to the Indian national. The Pakistani army has ruled out any consular access to alleged Indian spy Kulbhushan Jadhav, saying he is not eligible for it as per the laws. Jadhav was awarded the death penalty on the 10th of April in an unprecedented decision that triggered diplomatic spat between the two neighbors. China today defended its strategic China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC passing through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, saying that it has no direct link with the Kashmir issue. Commenting in fact on India's objections over the CPEC, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said that the purpose of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor was to serve economic cooperation and development. He also welcomed India to take an active part in building the One Belt, One Road project, a pet initiative of the Chinese President Xi Jinping. China is holding an OBOR summit to be held in Beijing from the 14th of May to the 15th. OBOR is the official name for the multi-billion-dollar Silk Road project initiated by Xi to expand China's connectivity and strategic influence in the neighborhood and around the world. And here's a quick look at what else is making news across the country in Nationwide. The Supreme Court on Tuesday exempted the categories of disabled persons from standing during the national anthem being played before screening of a film. Earlier, the Apex Court had ordered that every person has to stand during the screening of the national anthem. The court also issued a notice to the centre on the plea seeking Vande Mataram essential for all educational institutions. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar on Wednesday morning took part in a foot march in Motihari to mark the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's Champaran Satyagraha. Briefing the media, the Chief Minister said that the foot march was organized to remember Gandhi's historic statement to a court in April 1917, where he gave a letter of his intention of not obeying the order to the district magistrate. Top Maoist leader Narayan Shanal passed away late on Monday night in a South Kolkata hospital. He was in his early 80s and was suffering from cancer. Shanal was the Politburo member of the CPI Maoists at the time of his arrest in 2005 and the second most important leader after the party's National Secretary M. Lakshmana Rao. The centre has extended a ceasefire agreement with two insurgent groups in Nagaland for one more year from April 28th. The pact was signed between the central government and the NSCN-R and NSCN-NK. The two insurgent groups which operate in Nagaland are among several other armed groups of the state. International news: in Australia will introduce stricter visa requirements for skilled workers from overseas, a majority of them Indians. The new order comes as a measure to tackling growing unemployment in the country and to give Australian workers top priority. The popular 457 visa, which allows foreigners to live and work in Australia for up to 4 years, will be replaced with a stricter scheme that requires a criminal background check and includes tougher English language requirements and job skills. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull's announcement comes days after he visited India, where a range of issues, including national security, counter-terrorism, were discussed and 6 agreements were signed.
The fact is that the migration program should only operate in our national interest. This is all about Australia's interest. This is about jobs for Australians. It's about growing the Australian economy so that Australian families can realise their dreams, that Australian businesses can invest and employ and get ahead. That's what it's all about. And so this rigorous focus, this laser-like focus on our national interest will ensure that where skill gaps arise and can't be filled by Australians, then foreign workers can come in, but not otherwise.
And US President Donald Trump, too, is all set to sign an executive order to enforce changes to a visa program that brings in high-skilled foreign workers. The move will tighten the process of issuing H-1B visas and seek a review of the visa system that's sought after by Indian IT firms and technicians. The White House said that the time-limited H-1B visas is undercutting American workers by bringing in cheaper labor. It has accused tech companies of using it to hire large numbers of workers and drive down wages. The order is an attempt by Trump to carry out his America First campaign pledges to reform US immigration policies and encourage purchases of American products. Meanwhile, US Vice President Mike Pence reassured Japan of American commitment to defuse risks from North Korea's nuclear program. In a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Tokyo on Tuesday, Pence said that all options are on the table when it comes to North Korea. He assured that the US will work closely with Japan and its allies in aiming for a peaceful resolution to North Korea's nuclear and missile ambitions. Pence, who was in South Korea a day earlier, warned the reclusive North that the era of strategic patience is over. Tokyo is the second stop on Pence's 10-day tour of Asia.
We appreciate the challenging times in which the people of Japan live, with increasing provocations from across the Sea of Japan. And as the President himself would say if he was here, let me be clear. To you, Mr. Prime Minister, and to all the people of Japan, we are with you 100%.
British Prime Minister Theresa May has called for early general elections in June, seeking a stronger mandate in talks over leaving the European Union. Announcing the election dates on the 8th of June, May, who has only a slim majority in the Parliament's lower House of Commons, said that the general election will end the opposition party's attempts to foil her Brexit plans. She also appealed to all parties to pass the motion that she will present to the House of Commons tomorrow to allow an early election. May took power in July last year from David Cameron, who resigned after voters narrowly approved Brexit supporting departure from the European Union. The opposition Labour Party has welcomed the Prime Minister's decision to call an early election.
Is the right approach, and it is in the national interest. But the other political parties oppose it. At this moment of enormous national significance, there should be unity here in Westminster. But instead, there is division. The country is coming together, but Westminster is not. Division in Westminster will risk our ability to make a success of Brexit, and it will cause damaging uncertainty and instability to the country. So we need a general election, and we need one now, because we have at this moment a one-off chance to get this done while the European Union agrees its negotiating position and before the detailed talks begin. I have only recently and reluctantly come to this conclusion.
Allaying the widespread criticism over a referendum granting sweeping powers, in fact new powers, to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he warned the international election observers to know their place. Addressing crowds of flag-waving supporters from the steps of the presidential palace in Ankara, Erdogan said that Sunday's results had ended all debate on changing the constitution and creating an executive presidency. According to the election authorities, preliminary results showed 51.4% of voters had backed the biggest overhaul of Turkish politics since the founding of the modern republic in Sunday's referendum. Meanwhile, the European monitors observed that the vote did not live up to international standards. Erdogan said that Turkey did not see, hear, nor acknowledge reports by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which is an observer mission.
AGİT diye bir örgüt var Avrupa'da. Şimdi bunlar kendilerine göre bir rapor hazırlıyorlar. Türkiye'deki seçimler şöyle olmuş, böyle olmuş. Önce haddinizi bilin, haddinizi.
And finally, Sri Lanka has moved over 400 families to temporary shelters after tons of rotting garbage collapsed onto a slum, killing at least 31 people. Some 145 homes were destroyed when the 300-foot rubbish mountain came crashing down in Colombo. Police say many more buildings were damaged and could collapse at any time. Hundreds of rescue workers have kept up the search for survivors. President Maithripala Sirisena has instructed authorities to ensure financial resources are not an obstacle in the relief operation. The police has said that they are investigating whether the landslide was natural or man-made. Residents of the area, mostly living in shanties, had been demanding the removal of the dump, saying that it was causing health problems.
So far, from the day that we have started all rescue operation up to now, we could recover 21 bodies. And still the search is on, and 4 people have been hospitalized with the injuries. That was the initial thing that we have recovered, and the process is still going on.
And that's how we could pack it on the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.